Are you looking for a camera system that works both indoors and outdoors? Are you also looking for something that has local storage so you don't have to pay for cloud storage? Then you're in the right place. Hello, I am Wanderer001 and this is my review of the VAVA Cam Pro, which was provided to me by VAVA in order to do a review. However, all of the thoughts and opinions are my own and nobody is going to tell me what to say in this review. That is my stipulation when I do accept things of this nature to actually review. With that out of the way, let's get to it. This is a camera system, as you can see, because the softball looking thing on the right is actually the camera, and then you have a base station. So this is a system. It's not just a standalone camera. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna take our camera and move it off screen so that we can talk about the base station first. You are looking at a base station that is 4 inches tall and 4 inches wide. And it is made of completely shiny plastic, and that's not a problem. It's just gonna sit in your cabinet next to your Wi-Fi router because this is how your camera there is going to connect to your network. Up top there you have some branding. You will also notice, if I bring that a little closer, it might be a little hard to see, but there's a lip there with some perforations because, well, it needs to vent heat, but there also is a siren, which we'll get to when we swing around the back. If we come along the sides, there's nothing really to look at except when we get to the back. And again, this base station does more than just connect itself to the camera. Up here, you'll notice a cutout perforation. This is for the siren because you can trigger a siren from the application. It is a fairly loud siren, as you can hear from this. So if you're using the camera setup inside, you'll be able to deter your unwanted guest, or at the very least, annoy your pets. There is a micro SD card slot right there, and VAVA does include a 8 gigabit micro SD card, and it depicts the correct way to place it into your device. Here you have the syncing, so that's to set up the pair between the base station and your device. You have your LAN port, because this is a wired connection, at least to the base station. Your power cord there, which does come with an included power cable and Ethernet cable, both of which are about 5 feet in length and is plenty for most people. If you've run out of ports on your Wi-Fi router, you can always get a network switch review over there. Next, you have your hard reset button, and then right there, you have your USB out. It can be used to either charge the camera or to set up a NAS. Coming around to the bottom here, you've got pretty much just some rubberized feet there, which do keep it off the surface very nicely, and more perforations down there in order to help keep this cool. Now, I will say I was pleasantly surprised at how cool this actually was in comparison to some other devices that I've used that have had a base station where they get kind of warm. This, I didn't feel bad putting this right on my table, and I did not have to worry about it in the least. Last but not least, there actually is a little LED status light right there to let you know what's going on with your VAVA station. Now, if we bring our camera back into focus here, well, this is a two-part system. So before we talk about the camera itself, perhaps we should talk about setup. So let's take a look at what it was like to set up the VAVA Cam Pro here. This will be setup of the VAVA Cam Pro and the base station for it, utilizing the handy included pamphlet. So step one is to connect the base station to the power supply and the Ethernet cable. The Ethernet cable that they provided is actually very generous in length as a Cat6 cable. So we're just going to come around here and we are going to locate the LAN port. We'll put that right in there. And then the power supply, again, utilizing the included power cable, which is a little short based on where my Wi-Fi router is. So we're just going to have to push this over here and plug it in. And hopefully you can see that there is an orange light on the back now. And step two, it says to turn on your camera. There's actually a power button right there. So we're going to press on that and try and make sure one more time. Oh, there we go. There was a blue status light. So it does recommend charging this for the next step. However, since I have power, what I'm going to do is I've already downloaded the app. And next step is to add device. So first things first, we are going to add a base station. And then it's going to give us the directions that we kind of just did, which was connect the base station. So we're going to scan the QR code under the base station, or we can press the sync and reset button to pair it. So in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the base station. And here it's telling me make sure it's powered on. It wants to use my video recording, so we're going to say only this time so that it can activate my camera. And I'm just going to kind of do this around the side here and hold that off to the side and select next. So it had the possibility of naming my base station. I didn't want to. Now it's telling me to pair the base station. So pressing and holding the sync and reset button under the base station simultaneously until the LED. Okay, so we're gonna do that and hit next. Oh, so okay, apparently I cannot hit next until I actively do that.
Timed out.
Oh, and that was the camera telling me that the pairing had timed out. So we're going to do the back of the base station and hold the 2. There we go. I was looking for that light based on the visualization there. So it is blinking. We are going to hit next. And congratulations, it's paired to the app. So we're going to hit OK. And we're going to plop that down for the time being. So we've got our base station assigned. So next we're going to say add a camera. And all right, turn on the camera, plug in the power adapter. Okay, so, and hit the sync button. So hopefully we can just come around here again and turn it on until we see that blue indicator light. There's our blue indicator light, which is going to signify our pairing. All right, press the sync button to pair with the base station, wait for pairing. We're gonna try adding now. To connect the camera, press power button to the camera turns on. Okay, so we're gonna hit next. It's within short distance. Press and hold the sync button under the camera until the LED flashes, and we will see if that pairs.
Camera successfully synced with base station.
All right, and there's a name. We're just gonna call it outdoor and hit next. So there we go. We've got our outdoor camera. Oh, there is a firmware. Motion detected. All right, so we're gonna update this now. Yeah, so obviously when you do this, there'll probably be a firmware as well. It is definitely telling me that it's detecting motion because I'm right in front of it, but figure, actually looking at my record time, about 6 minutes to fully set this up, minus having to download the app and set up a account. And that's also with trying to record and film and adjust light. So you'll be able to set this up. You'll be able to set this up in under 10 minutes and then probably an additional minute for the firmware, but I won't make you sit through that. So that is the setup process of the VAVA Cam Pro. So there you saw, the setup is not actually terrible. And again, compared to some other things that I've set up in the past, this was realistically very easy. The last thing I will mention about the base station before I bring it out of frame is that micro SD card slot there can accept up to a 128 gigabyte micro SD card. So the 8 gigabyte is good to start with, but if you see some of the features that we'll talk about a little later, you might want to pick up a bigger SD card down the road. Moving the base station off camera, we can concentrate on our camera itself. Or how about this? One of the 3 different mounting options that you have for the VAVA Cam here. So you can see it is just a rubberized little cradle that you can put your camera on if you're utilizing it inside. There also is this magnetized divot which you can place a screw and hook this in and then attach it to your VAVA Cam. Or there's the option of just magnetizing this to the side of something that can support its weight. In my case, I did an air conditioner. So that was kind of interesting. The last stand option for this is what I was actually testing the VAVA Cam on, which can be seen here. One of the many mounting features that you get with the VAVA Cam here, and most of the time this is probably what you're going to use if you're mounting it outside. In my case, I have it very unconventionally mounted, where I just drilled it into a board because this is my testing platform, and have it facing completely up. But you have this
as you can see there. You loosen this little lug nut here, and you've got this articulating arm. So if you actually had this on your siding or whatever, you can have this where it's angled, and if I spin this the right way, you can actually get it to hold in place. You can have this angled more so that it's facing down and not straight up. Also, the mounting for it is just, you know, it's just like you would have for any tripod mount. So there you go, little tripod mount there, screws into the bottom of this, and you've got a fully articulating arm that you can mount your VAVA Cam however you like. I will also say that it is fairly weather resistant, because when I first got the VAVA Cam, the first thing I did was put it out in the middle of a rainstorm. So that's dedication to testing, but also the fact that this has not rusted and it has been out here for several weeks getting rained on, and this has made it through 75-degree weather all the way down to about 27. So all of this looks great, functions great still, so you don't have to worry about this particular stand outside.
So lots of different mounting options with the VAVA Cam. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this a little closer and try and avoid the shininess, which that is the thing. VAVA has an aesthetic that they're going with, and I will admit this does not trap dirt like some other options. In fact, when I first got this, I ran right outside in a deluge to put this up and make sure that this got rained on to make sure that it actually is waterproof. So here's an idea of what some rain will look like with the camera. Coming back to the VAVA Cam here, it is just a little bigger than a softball, or just about the same size as a softball. I did not play softball in high school or college. You have the VAVA branding with the Cam Pro, and we'll just spin that all around. Back there you have your rubberized divot that is also a magnet. Back here you see it is IP66 rated, and that is due in part to this compartment here. This, the waterproof door here, houses the sync/power button, the reset button, and the micro USB charging port. And the cover itself is very substantial. If you notice the way that the lip is here, and then you got these two little indents here that actually kind of slip in. So you've got a nice deep channel to help prevent water from actually getting into this device. So that is going to help you keep this as waterproof as possible. It can be a little tricky to take off, but you want something like that to make sure that you don't get any water inside where it can damage the camera itself. Moving down, we have our mounting screw, which can be tripod mounted, so whatever you can fit a tripod on, you can fit on here. You've got your speaker grill right down there. The sound that comes out of this is rather good.
Test VAVA Cam audio. Test 1, test 2, test 3. Sally sells seashells by the seashore.
So, the sound that comes out of this is not that bad, all things considered. Coming up to the front, you've got an LED status light that for the most part will blink red, mainly when it's charging, the 5000 milliamp lithium polymer batteries. Now that's good because you might not have heard of lithium polymer before as opposed to lithium ion batteries. Well, lithium polymer are able to be shaped in odd, as you can see, ways so that you can get a little more versatility with your form factor. Charging the VAVA Cam here with the included micro USB cable and charging wall wart will take 3 hours. So that's not bad in comparison to other options. Moving on, we've got our PIR sensor right there, so that's going to be your activation motion. I know it's a little hard to see with my two lights there. You have your microphone right there, so you can have that two-way audio. And then on either side of the camera lens are two IR lights, which have an effective range of 23 feet. And I'll say, based on my testing and a little sample, they are not bad. They are fairly accurate in the actual IR throw that they do. One of the things that I found out while testing the VAVA Cam is just how precise you need to be with the mounting. And if I bring this sideways, you can kind of see why. The lens faces this way, the PIR sensor kind of faces down. So if you do this straight up and down, the PIR sensor is actually facing down. So the VAVA Cam wants to be mounted up facing down at what it's looking at, or if you are going to be mounting it thusly, you're going to have to tilt it back a little bit so that you can actually get things to pass in front of the PIR sensor. Now that's not terrible considering that you've got a 110-degree wide-angle lens here. So that captures a lot of stuff, so you don't have to worry about that. I also noticed that before the camera actually goes into night vision mode, it actually has a much better low light resolution than I thought it would have. Just from seeing this, when I look outside, it was actually kind of dark, but there's a sensor that brings in all the available light and makes it so much nicer to see before it switches over to its night vision mode. What I'm talking about can only be best demonstrated through the application that the VAVA Cam uses. So why don't we use this as a nice segue to go check out the VAVA Cam app. This is the main screen that you land on when you first log into the VAVA app. In the upper right hand corner here, you see a plus sign. Selecting that will show you how you can actually add more hubs or cameras to your VAVA account. Now, right here, you can tell right away that you can have 4 cameras per base station. So I like the fact that that's actually visible in the app itself and not having to wonder or go hunt down that information elsewhere. Once on this page, in the upper right hand corner, there's a sprocket, which you can select that will bring you to either your base station or your individual camera. And there's lots of ways to get to the same place, but I want you to know what that is, and that's why I touched it. And we're gonna go back to our main page, because on our main page, this is where the information is. You'll notice that I have my camera feed right here. It says live, even though right now it's not live. It didn't quite get a new snapshot of my outdoors because, well, I'm doing this in the dark. If we click on live now and give that a second to load in, you can see that outside it's actually dark. But once you click on your live feed, you will see your live feed here. If you turn your cell phone, you will get a full view of it. And in the upper right hand corner, you've got a sprocket. Selecting that brings up all of our options for our outdoor camera. So to start, if we select that, you can change the name. We're gonna go back because we don't want to. You can turn on night vision, on or off. What that does is actually turn on or off the IR sensors. It will go into night vision mode on its own. It actually is very good in comparison to other cameras that I've tried in very low light situations. It doesn't need the IR and it almost has a colored look for night stuff. So I do appreciate that. That's really nice. The flip image, so if your camera is situated thusly and you need to flip the image, well, that's how you can flip the image. So selecting that, you can say flip horizontal, flip vertical, and horizontal. So you can have a lot of customization in how that video feed is presented to you. Monitoring schedule. So what this is, you can set up specific times that you actually want to monitor. In my case, I want to do it all the time, and that's why it looks like that. Or you can choose Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from that time to that time. And these are all presets that you can turn on and off, or you can add your own schedule using the scheduler here. So again, that's a little extra that you get with the VAVA app that you don't get with other camera options. Human shape detection, on or off, I have that turned on. I do appreciate that that is free and built into the VAVA app, although I will be honest, it does need a little work, so hopefully they are working on training this so that it gets better. Right now, pretty much anything that detects motion is detecting a human, even though there are no humans in my backyard. Camera working mode. This is another thing that I really appreciate about the VAVA app. Selecting camera working mode, you can select optimize the battery life, you can select optimal surveillance, or you can make your own customization. Now each of these has a preference as to what it's doing. Here obviously it's trying to preserve the battery life so that you get that long-lasting battery that they talk about. Optimized surveillance will allow it to record events and it will try and catch as much of that event as humanly possible. Or you have work mode customization, and I'm going to select that so you can see. You can select its sensitivity to detecting motion. I was going crazy with the high. In fact, I'll probably turn that back to high. You can do middle, low. You can select your clip length. This is awesome. You can select all the way up to a minute. So with some other solutions, if you get a clip, it's 12 seconds and that's it. You can select a full minute of recording and as little as 5 seconds. You can also select the triggering interval. So some cameras you have 5 minutes, some cameras you have 1 minute. This you can select down to 5 seconds all the way up to 120 seconds. So if you need to have 5-second intervals and a full minute, you can do that with this. And I really found this to be awesome. And especially since it has the onboard storage in the base station for clips, there's no reason to not set this how you need it. Granted, doing some of the things that I've done will eat the battery up a little sooner than some other options, but the fact that you have that choice, I can't say enough about that. Moving down, you have the option for email push notifications. Up there, I'm hiding my email, but you can select email notifications. I have that turned off. I don't need that. I do have it pushing to my mobile phone. So if it senses motion, it sends me a notification. The notifications are about 30 to 45 seconds before they hit my phone. And again, I have the camera at its farthest lengths that it's actually supported. So I am stress testing this. If you bring it a little closer, those notifications will come a little faster with better Wi-Fi connectivity. Serial number, device, firmware, you can remove this and then you can factory reset it. So those are our camera setting options, and this is going to bring back the live feed. What we're also going to see here is date and time, and then over here on the left is actually the connection. Now, normally I'm at 1 bar, so thankfully it's night, it's crisp air, no clouds, I'm getting a very good connection. Here you can turn on and off the audio from the camera itself, so if you want to hear what's going on out there. You can select right here if you want to turn the alarm on the base station on. And in here it's giving you the warning, it will be very loud. So my base station is actually right underneath me. Let's see if I can pick this up with my lapel mic. Alarm is active. And I turned it off. I could hear it and probably freaked my cats out, but if you had this as an internal camera to keep track of things and you wanted to scare somebody, that is how you do it. Moving on, you have your settings for the bitrate. So automatic, high, standard, fluid. This will dynamically change the HD to lower quality to bitrate. I wish this was a little more explanatory, because if I select high, it really doesn't tell you. It just says resolution change to high. If I select it again, change it to standard, it just says resolution change to standard. So if this was a little more informative, I would like that. Here you have your big screen room. You have your full screen mode. And you'll notice down here in the lower right, it's showing you the bit rate that is being currently used. Over here on the left, you have an icon for a camera. Selecting that will show you if you've had any motion triggers. Now, one thing I do like about the setup of the motion triggers here, aside from giving you the thumbnail, and like I said, it's pretty much telling me that everything has had a human in it, but it really hasn't. I mean, that one does, you can see because I'm testing it. But in the notification shade here, you'll see that all of these back here are grayed out. And you only see that the dark numbers are where it has picked something up. So I did have the camera installed on this date and a couple days before, but no motion was detected, so you don't see anything. I appreciate that it's like, hey, go find the dark numbers and you'll know when instances happen. You'll also notice that that is indicating local storage. Now there is cloud storage. For 30 days when you first make a purchase, you get to experience cloud storage. After that, there is a fee, and I'll show you where that is a little later. You can edit any of these that you want to delete. You can just go and then hit the delete, and that'll remove the clips from either your local storage or from the cloud. We're not going to do either, and we're going to back out. Here you can snap a picture, as you heard. You can press and hold to talk to people. As you can see, it's picking up what I'm saying, and whoever's out there, mainly animals, is hearing what I'm saying. Take your finger off and it stops talking. Here, if you wanted to, select it and it will record what it's seeing on screen right at that time, and selecting stop will save that to your phone itself. And that is the settings and options for the VAVA Cam. We're gonna back out because, well, guess what? There are options also for the base station itself. So we're going to select the options for the base station right here. And here you can see base station, that's the naming of the base station. I can change that. Time zone, which I probably should have set up originally because in my actual camera I can see that the time is slightly different, so I will have to fix that. Micro SD card, which again is provided, they do provide you with an 8GB card, which was very nice. And here you can see, even with all of those clips that I have on there, I'm not using up a lot of space. The maximum that this will support is 124GB, or you can have a NAS connection, which we will actually show you in a moment. See right here, NAS. If you wanted to, you can have all of your cameras going to a NAS, so you don't really have to worry about micro SD card space because you've got a NAS solution. Now, I'm not going to get into the NAS settings because I'm not utilizing a NAS with this, but just know this is a camera setup that will allow you to do that. So we've got serial number, device, and firmware. So that is the base station itself. And I neglected to mention that right there, you can see on the live video feed outside that it shows how much battery is actually left. Now, I do wish that there was a percentage there, so I kind of had a better idea instead of just the 2 bars. And like I said, this is a live snapshot. It's not live yet. You do have to tap it in order for it to become a live feed so that you can view it. And there we go, that is live. And back. So we were on our devices page right there. If we select notifications, it will bring you right back to that notifications page. And here you can see, as I was talking about, the days that have the darker number means that something was seen on that day. You can, of course, filter. So if you have a lot of devices, you can select which device you want to see and then hit confirm. You can edit, again, select what you want and delete it. We're not going to do that. We're just going to select cancel. And then we're going to come over to settings. And again, settings is accessible from this main page as well. Up at the top is your name and a warning letting you know that the cloud services that you are experiencing when you first get the product are temporary. You have My Devices, which show you your 2 devices, and selecting either or will bring you into the settings area for that device. So we're going to go back. You can share your device. So very similar to other camera solutions, you can easily share. So I can say add sharing. I just need to know their email address and they have to have a VAVA account. Cloud management. Now here is where you can see pricing. So here it lets you know all of the services that you can get with the cloud and then buy now. So you can do 3 months for a single camera, 2 cameras, 4 cameras. So the cloud management is not free, but you get onboard storage in the base station. So for most, you might not need access to the cloud. And I do appreciate that the SD card is in the base station, so if somebody walks off with my camera, I still have all of the things saved on my base station in my house. So unless they break into my house, they don't get those. And you do have to select the cameras that you want. So I had to add that camera. And then up there, if you wanted to, it will show you your purchase history. Obviously, I don't have anything yet, as of yet. Feedback, if you wanted to do feedback, you can show a screenshot there of anything that you are having concerns with. User guide, so they do have an integrated user guide in the app, so you can select, hey, what do I want to do? LED status indicator, let's see what that is. Hey, okay, here's all the information on LED status indicators. I do like apps that do that and cut down on the paper products that you get in the box because I put that somewhere and I forget where it is. So I do enjoy them having this integrated right into the app itself. So here, you want to see the device battery? There you go. All your information. Hey, it even tells you how long it should take to charge this. Extended warranty. So obviously, if you purchase this, you can extend your warranty by filling in the information here. And then about VAVA Home, well, here you go. All the information about the application that you are using. There are some things that it will ask for permission for, and if you are on an Android phone like I am, you can select to only allow it to have access to that when the app is running, such as the microphone and the gallery. But that has been a look of the VAVA Home application to use with your VAVA Cam Pro. What you might not have been able to pick up from the application screen itself is that the VAVA Cam does support full 1080 video, as well as the ability to zoom in just by double tapping. And I will say that the clarity of the zoomed in image is very good. I was actually very surprised at just double tapping and it zooms in. It is a digital zoom, so it's not optical, but the crispness of that digital zoom, I was rather surprised with. Through my battery of testing, I did test this in temperatures ranging from 75 degrees to 29 degrees. One thing that I did notice is that the lens on this particular outdoor camera did not seem to fog as I have experienced with other ones, which I think might be due in part to the design and the size. While the lens itself is flat, you do have this rounded feature set which allows a lot of the more warmer components to be further away from the lens, so that kind of aids in the ability to not fog up the lens, which I did appreciate. Talking about our front here with the two IR lights. One thing, as is with many devices like this, you do tend to have a blowout of a person or animal's face when they approach the camera before it gets a chance to focus in and figure out what it's looking at. So there is that momentary blurring of a blowout of a face that you might experience. However, the beauty of the VAVA is that it is recording to an SD card that's inside your house, and you can set the length of that so you don't necessarily have to worry if it takes a little bit of time for it to show you the person's face correctly. The other thing to consider is the timeliness that it takes for notifications to make it to your phone. I found, on general, you're looking at between 30 to 45 seconds for motion detection to getting the notification on your phone. Is that great? Not necessarily, but again, I've tested a few products like this and that seems to be about the norm. And that's partially due to the sleep state that an outdoor camera goes into. It has no wires, so it has to preserve the battery somehow, even though you are looking at that 5,000 milliamp battery, which is supposed to last you 100 days, give or take, depending on how you have your camera set up to record things. But cameras like this do need to be in a sleep state just enough time to preserve that battery. You won't be getting a message instantaneous, but you will be getting it in enough time to notice what's going on. So let's talk final thoughts and pricing of the VAVA Cam starter set, we'll call it, because again, 4 VAVA cams to a base station, and the original package comes with 1 base station and 1 camera. Question, how much does that cost you? Depending on where you pick up the VAVA Cam, you're looking at anywhere between $195 to $200. However, with that price tag, you have a base station that sips electricity at only 1.7 watts of power. Again, compared to other things, that's nothing. A base station that also dissipates heat very well, and a camera that is super versatile in just the amount of different types of mounting situations that you can do with it, and the quality of video that you actually get from this. I will have another video up there in the corner of the full gamut of the tests that I ran for the VAVA Cam, from dawn to day to dusk to rain, just to give you an idea of what the video quality with this is. And like I've been saying this entire time, I have been very surprised. And if that price tag is not a deterrent for you, and hopefully in the future the person detection will be a little better, I think the VAVA Cam is actually well worth your time in checking out. At the very least, I mean, look at this. This was outside in the rain and had chipmunks attack it just like my other outdoor camera. And it's no worse for wear. And that's partially due to the plastic construction and again, the glossy construction, not a fan of for trying to hide it, but just for cleaning, that was awesome. So I have been Wanderer 001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.